So, hi everyone. So Ani has been going through a transition lately. Anytime young kids go through a transition, it's like the stress of it plays out in different ways depending on the child. And a lot of times it results in tantruming. And Ani has been going through a major transition because she started to sleep in her own bed. I've always slept with her, so it's a really big step. And so she's been having a lot of big emotions that come out during the day over random things, or if she wakes up in the middle of the night, she's kind of in a state. She also got vaccinated. I got her vaxxed on, I forget what day, Thursday. So I don't know if maybe it's a little bit of that too, a little side effect. But anyway, so back in the day, probably when you were growing up and when I was growing up, parents were told to just like ignore it, right? Ignore the tantrum or the emotion because they're just doing it for attention, right? You've probably heard that. And now child psychologists and researchers know that this is not the case, right? Children aren't really capable at that age of manipulation and doing things for attention, even if they want attention. It's really that there's something going on underneath the emotion. And that the best thing as parents that we can do for them is just to hold space, validate what they are feeling, really understand that it's a big deal for them, and let them process their emotion in a safe space. And the tricky part about that is that that requires us as parents or as caretakers or as friends or family members or whatever it may be when someone that we love and care about is going through something, right? Like family trauma when everyone's involved, is that when we're in our own emotion, when we're triggered, when we're under stress, that it becomes more challenging and difficult to be a calm, safe space for someone else to feel what they feel. So there are times when, I am really happy with the way that I respond to Ani's emotions. And there are times when I'm really, wish I had handled it much differently. And then it's a process of being gentle with yourself because I'm like, all right, you're really tired. Like I'm really tired. I haven't been sleeping. So my fuse is shorter, whatever it may be. We try our best. What yoga does for us is it gives us a practice, a solid experiential practice that we can do on a somewhat daily, weekly basis that gives us an opportunity to practice coming back to our own center, to practice calming and settling our nervous system so that we can be regulated, right? This is a really important word, I think, for everyone to think about is regulation of the nervous system. And when children are having a tantrum or strong emotion, they are dysregulated. Their nervous system cannot find that level ground, right? And it's only through their caregivers or the people who are with them, their parents, who to be a safe space so that they can help them co-regulate. As adults, we need to be able to recognize when we're dysregulated and to take a pause. This is so important, to step back, to say, okay, you know what, right now I'm really triggered. And so it's easier for me to do this with my kids than like my husband. So can we say, I'm really triggered right now, I'm going to take a step away? Or when it's with young children, it's like, I'm not going to say anything and I'm just going to take a breath. Can I give myself a moment and not do anything, not react, to pause, to take some deep breaths? Because as yogis, we know that the breath regulates the nervous system, moves us out of the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic. So can I take some deep breaths? Can I let my own emotions process or move through me, that energy, so that then I can once again be a source of calm for whoever else? And to be really aware and gentle with ourselves when we're not in a space to do that. There are some times when, if you're in deep state of grief, or if you're in a period of anxiety or depression, where we are dysregulated, maybe for a very long time, and we cannot then be that person for someone else sometimes. Sometimes we can do both. We can hold space for someone else and still be in our own stuff, but it's really challenging to do that. So can we be calm and gentle with ourselves during those periods? So today we're just going to practice that regulating our own nervous system. So let's take a nice, tall, comfortable seat. Move the flesh away from your sitting bones. Find as much ease in your body as you can today. Take the shoulders up, back, and down. Close your eyes. Notice where there's tension, where there's gripping. Check in with your face. Notice your jaw is really tight. Let that go. You could even bring your hands to the jawbone, the joint there, and give a little rub, a little tap maybe, to bring awareness to that area and try to soften it. And then if you're using your hands, you could bring them to your forehead and just kind of smooth that area out. Smooth out the brow and that point right in between your eyebrows. Little tap there. You can bring your hands to your cheekbones, maybe rubbing little circles, just bringing some touch to your face so that you can consciously relax those areas. And then you could release your hands back down and let your tongue get heavy and wide on the lower palate. And notice your breath. So oftentimes we may even feel fine, especially when we're dealing with a stressful situation, which we all are, just by being alive right now. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. There's so much going on with the country. It feels like the world is a little bit on fire. Things are divided. This is a lot. So sometimes we're functioning and we feel okay. And it isn't until we get really still that we start to recognize that, wow, it's hard to regulate. It's hard for me to actually calm down. So if you find that, just breathe into it, lean into it. Give yourself permission to let go. See if with every inhale and exhale, you can bring in more of a sense of calm. And then a soft release. And just notice if even this practice of simply being still, pausing, tuning into the body, dropping into the breath, allowing the mind to become a little more calm, a little more steady, and holding space for ourselves to be, validating our own experience. If just this practice that we've done in the last few minutes, if there's a little bit of a shift, a little bit of maybe down regulating that's happening. And this is why we practice this, right? It's not like we find a space of calm and stillness and that's it, we're done. Because we're human beings having all of these experiences, and the nervous system's constantly getting information and processing that. So we regulate and we dysregulate, we regulate, we dysregulate. And the more we practice using tools to move us out of dysregulation and into a space of calm, the more familiar we become with the process. It becomes more habitual. We create and carve out this pattern. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And the thing about our parents probably is that they didn't teach us these tools, right? Maybe we learned these tools from our yoga teachers as adults. And that's really no one's fault, right? We do the best that we can. By teaching, even just teaching ourselves this practice, even becoming more regulated just for us, we have an impact on the people in our lives. By saying to that person that maybe we have conflict with, I'm going to pause and let's take a break. Right? We can help them to have the space to regulate. So here you can set an intention. Maybe it's just to notice your nervous system today, or to let this practice regulate you so that you could be a space of calm for yourself or for someone else. And then let's begin our class and seal in our intentions with 3 cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in and let it go. 2 more like that. And gently bow your head to your heart. Slowly open your eyes, release your hands. Let's come to lay down on our back. Laying down on the earth, on the ground. Sometimes that can be enough to help us regulate the nervous system. Here, take your feet as wide as your mat. Let your knees knock in onto each other. This is a great pose, constructive rest. You could move your feet in a little closer to your hips. This is a great pose to release stress because it allows the psoas, which is the biggest muscle in the body's pair of muscles, that really, really holds stress, is activated by the sympathetic nervous system, holds fear, it holds this charge. So by just coming into constructive rest, letting the shoulders move back and down so that the heart space is open, you can take your arms down by your sides with your palms face up and let your body get heavy. Maybe we just do this once a day and give ourselves a chance to reset. And if there's still an intense charge of stress, of anxiety, even of tiredness, of whatever it is that we're feeling, sadness, here you could let it soak into the earth. Imagine that it's like a water that just falls and pours off of your body. It seeps down into the earth below you. And the earth really loves to cleanse our energy like this. It's what it's made to do, right? To decompose and regenerate and grow. Let's just take a few more breaths like this. And then inhale, reach your arms overhead, take a full body stretch. You can extend your legs out too. And then bend your knees again, place both feet on the ground. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Open up the left hip. So the top of the thigh presses away from the body and the knee tracks away. Flex your foot and then pick up your right foot, interlace your hands behind your thigh or on top of your shin. Level out the distribution of weight on your sacrum. The tendency here is going to be to have everything lean over to the left. So you want to keep that level and balanced. Keep the shoulders back and down, broaden the collarbones. And check in with your face and see where you could relax and soften those muscles. So our muscles and our body, we get trained. We train ourselves to respond, to adhere to different patterns. So the more we practice softening and relaxing, we're teaching ourselves, we're training ourselves to be in a space of calm, of peace. We're carving out a map so that we can find our way back here again and again. Release the clasp of your hands, bring your right foot to the ground. Keep the shape of your legs, take your arms out to a T or cactus. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, drop your knees over to the left. You can keep your left heel pressing down onto the outer right thigh, gaze out over the right shoulder and breathe. And if that's not comfortable with your legs, you can just take a twist here. Bring both feet down to the ground. Inhale, come back up through center and switch sides. Left foot comes down, right ankle crosses over the top of the left thigh. From the right hip crease, press the thigh away. Then pick up your left foot, interlace your hands. Level out the distribution of weight on the low back and the sacrum. Flex both feet, breathe. Relax your jaw, relax your tongue, soften your face. Then release the clasp of your hands, bring your left foot down to the ground. Take your arms out to a T or to cactus. Take an inhale here and exhale, bring your knees over to the right. You can press your right heel down into the top of the outside of the left thigh. Gaze out over your left shoulder. Inhale, come back up to center. Go ahead and release. Bring the soles of your feet together, your knees wide. And take one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. And let your breath fill up the space underneath your hands. Inhale, knees back to center. Roll to your right side. Slowly make your way up and find child's pose. Knees wide, big toes touch. Forehead to the earth, reach your arms out overhead. Child's pose is another great posture to take when we're feeling dysregulated or overwhelmed. Intuitively, when we're in a stress response, we curl up into a little ball. We protect the front of the body, which is vulnerable. It's where all of our major organ systems are. And we protect that part of ourselves by exposing and rounding the back, exposing the spine. So here, this pose feels safe for most of us. And if it doesn't for you, that's okay too. But here, can you just allow yourself to soften, to relax a little bit more deeply? Then walk your hands over to the right until you get a stretch through your left side body. Come back through center and walk your hands over to the left until you get a stretch through the right side body. Come back through center, make your way up to all fours into tabletop. And let's find a couple of rounds of cat-cow. As you inhale, arch your back. And as you exhale, round. So there's this thing that they advise you to do with children when they're in a tantrum that's referred to as sports casting. And basically it's just that you name what you see. Look something like I'll say to Ani, you're really mad right now. You're really upset that I told you no, that you couldn't do whatever it is she's mad about. And that feels really unfair. It's really hard, having a really hard time with that. So it just becomes about naming her experience, really validating her feelings and letting her know that she's loved unconditionally no matter what she's experiencing. And can we do that with one another, right? Can we just say to another adult, to someone who's telling us how they feel, I hear you, I see you, without thinking about what to say or trying to offer advice or make it better or take away their pain. It's really hard. And can we do that for ourselves? Just saying, you're really tired right now, or you're having a really hard time, you're really angry, whatever it is that comes up. Inhale, come back to a neutral spine. On your next breath in, take your right arm up to the sky, and then exhale, thread the needle. Take the right arm onto the left, come down onto the right shoulder, right ear to the ground. Try to level out the hips, keep the navel facing the floor. Few breaths here. And notice if you find an area of tension in the body, that the tendency is to kind of tighten up, to try to brace ourselves to get through it or to avoid it. And can we keep trying to come back to that place of calm and centeredness? Press down into your left hand, inhale, reach the right arm up, and exhale, release. Second side, breathe in, take the left arm up to the sky, exhale, thread the needle, come down onto the left shoulder, left ear to the earth, level out your pelvis. Press down into your right hand, inhale, sweep your left arm up, exhale, release, and make your way into downward facing dog. You can pedal out through the legs here, bend one knee, send the opposite heel to the ground. Press down into your hands, lengthen the spine, reach your chest back towards your thighs. Lengthen the crown of the head towards the floor, towards your thumbs. Right leg lifts as you inhale. Bring it forward as you exhale. Find your high lunge with your right knee over your ankle. Press the left thigh up to the sky. Keep your left hand down. Inhale, sweep your right arm up. Exhale, release your right hand down. Pivot your back heel to the earth. See that your heel to arch aligned. Bring your right forearm onto your right thigh. Reach the left arm out in line with your ear. Coming into side angle. Press the pinky toe edge of your back foot down into the ground and reach all the way out through your fingertips. Exhale, cartwheel the arms down, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to a high plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale, come up into cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg lifts as you inhale. Lunge it forward as you exhale. Find your lunge. Knee over your ankle. Press your right thigh up towards the sky. Keep your right hand down. Inhale, sweep your left arm up. Exhale, release. Pivot your back heel down. Left forearm to your left thigh. Reach the right arm up in line with your ear, side angle. Press into the pinky toe edge of your back foot. Extend out through your right fingertips. Exhale, release. Cartwheel your arms down, downward facing dog. You can move through vinyasa here. From down dog, inhale, your right leg lifts. Exhale, lunge your right foot forward. This time, bring your back knee down. You can pat it, doubling up your mat or using a blanket. You may want blocks here under your hands. Level out the pelvis by taking the right hip back. Hug the outer hips in And then let the pelvis move down and forward. Keep the chest and heart lifted. And breathe. Notice if there's tension in the jaw. Can you let go of any gripping in the face? Can you soften the tongue? And then toe heel your right foot over towards the right side of your mat. Bring your hands to the inside of your foot. And you could stay right here in a lizard lunge, or you could come down onto your forearms, onto blocks or the ground. Melt the heart and breathe. Inhale, walk your hands back in. Slowly make your way back to downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Left leg lifts as you inhale, lunge it forward as you exhale. Bring your back knee down. So we're just pausing here. Few breaths in Anjaneyasana. See if you could level out the pelvis, draw the left hip back, hug the sides of the hips in towards each other, and then press the pelvis down and forward. Keep the heart lifted. And then toe heel your left foot over to the left side of the mat. Take your hands to the inside of your foot and decide what your lizard lunge looks like today. Wherever you are, can you let go of any rounding in the upper back, lengthen out the spine, melt the heart, keep the collarbones broad, and breathe. So every time we come into a pose, especially one that brings up discomfort, it's an opportunity for us to regulate our system. Anytime we come into a pose where all of a sudden the nervous system starts to have a reaction, starts to tighten, activate, or we start to want to resist or avoid or escape a pose, yoga asks us to practice, can we regulate ourselves here? Can we breathe deeper? As long as we're not in danger, as long as we're not in pain, can we stay with what we find, with what comes up? And can we soothe ourselves? Can we come into a space of stillness, calm, maybe even peace, even if it's just for a breath or two? And then inhale, walk your hands in, slowly make your way back into down dog. Inhale, come forward to a high plank. Exhale to lower, come all the way to your belly, and then prop yourself up on your forearms, coming into Sphinx pose. And if you feel this, a lot of tension or tightness in your low back, here we'll all do this. Come back down onto your belly. You can make a shelf with your forearms, stack your forearms, rest your head on your wrist. And then bend your knees so that the feet are pointing up towards the sky. Then from here, lift your right knee, lengthen it back, bring it back to the ground and extend your right leg long. And then do the same thing with your left. Lift, extend and lengthen, lower. And then come back up into Sphinx. Elbows under your shoulders, soften behind the heart. And here you could even let your head hang if that feels okay. And we'll be here for a few minutes. If at any point it gets to be too intense, you can just come back down onto your belly. Notice if you're gripping in your seat, in your butt, soften that. And breathe. Then go ahead and come down onto your belly. Stack your forearms. Do the other way if you stacked them before. Rest your forehead on your wrist. So this is called crocodile pose, and this is a great way to practice diaphragmatic breath. So as you inhale, notice that you feel the breath move right into the diaphragm. This is another great pose to do if you're feeling dysregulated. And then here, bend your knees and windshield wiper your legs side to side. You can take your legs pretty wide on your mat. And go ahead and slowly make your way onto your back. And hug your knees into your chest. We'll stay here for a few breaths. Keep squeezing your knees into your chest. Curl up into a little ball. Or keep the head down on the ground. Keep your right knee hugged in, extend your left leg long. Take your right knee and your left hand, right arm out to the side. Inhale here, and as you exhale, twist. Right knee comes down over to the left, gaze out over the right shoulder. If your right shoulder lifts up, you could rest your hand on your right rib cage. Inhale back to center. And exhale, release your right leg to meet your left. Hug your left knee into your chest. Left knee and right hand, left arm comes out to the side. Breathe in here, and as you exhale, twist. Inhale, come back to center. Draw both knees back into your chest. Take your knees wide, soles of the feet up towards the sky, and find happy baby. And whenever this pose feels complete for you, you can make your way into Shavasana. Extend the legs long on the ground and let your feet gently open to the sides. Have your arms down by your sides, palms face up. Take a full breath in, open your mouth and let it go with a sigh. Do 2 more cleansing breaths like that. Do a quick scan of the body. Notice if there's any lingering tension, tightness, gripping. See if you could consciously relax that part of yourself. And let your body be heavy on the ground. And let anything that's no longer serving you, that you've been carrying, that's been weighing on you, let it melt off of you back to the earth to be cleansed, to be regenerated. And with every breath in and out, this energy from the earth restores you, heals you, renews your energy, and brings you back home to yourself. rest here in Shavasana for just a little longer. And very slowly and gently begin to deepen your breath, drawing awareness back into your body as you wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can start to move and stretch in any way that feels good. Reach your arms overhead, lengthen all the way down through your toes, take a full body stretch. And exhale, hug your knees into your chest, roll to your right side. Slowly make your way back up to find a comfortable seat. And once you arrive, close your eyes. Bring your hands together in front of your heart, calling back your intention. And notice as you sit here, if you feel a little more regulated or a little less dysregulated. If you feel more in a space to move through life with calm, centeredness, groundedness, and honor yourself for this practice, for taking the time week after week to practice this art of self-exploration, self-discovery, self-regulation, self-soothing, knowing that you bring this calm back out into the world and can be a beacon and a safe space for others. Let's seal in our intentions and end our class with a final cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. Gently bow your head to your heart. The light within me recognizes and honors this very same light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for your practice. Have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week, and I will see you next time.